What's up, YouTube? Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve. Wanted to hop on and chat a little bit, change up the subject matter just a little bit anyway, though. Still along the same lines of just commentary over the changes that we've seen in the last couple of years. But this one hits a little bit more home for me in the sense of I've been dealing with it a lot longer. I've been in the realm of it, and one of the other video commentators and people that I like to watch did a recent video on it. Andreas Bullhansen talked about alpha male and this alpha male cult. And I have to say I agreed with him, especially given reflection of my journey in that regard. Growing up, I was very overweight. I didn't get a lot of attention from females, and as I got older and came of age, I worked very hard to lose that weight because hormones, right? And kind of almost swung really far in the other direction of becoming very vain. So I learned from both of those things. I learned human nature, both personally and about those around me. Part of what helped me in the beginning was sort of that, those dating strategy coaches, alpha male coaches, and all of that. And it's very true that that stuff kind of does work on some level, but what you're doing is you're just tricking a prospective partner, and that doesn't last. Eventually the layers get peeled away, and your true motives come out, and you are exposed, and it doesn't work. It works in the short term, but it doesn't work for the long term. And I don't know about you, but the long-term happiness and fulfillment for me seems to be worthy things to pursue in life. And I just thought it was very interesting, some of the comments Andreas was making, and how I've sort of come to those realizations as well, and kind of how immature and childish the whole alpha male pickup artist lifestyle is. I'm not saying that there's nothing to learn from it, because if you don't learn or be open to learning about things, then you can never truly understand it enough to criticize it. And that would go into other discussions. I remember just briefly, I read a book by a eco-feminist, right? People who know me would not expect me to say that. Followed by reading a book by Noam Chomsky, Manufacturing Consent, which is a great book. And I ended up reading these two books back to back. And by the time I started another book by a self-proclaimed libertarian, I thought it was incredibly conservative and right-wing. But the truth is I had just immersed myself in a world of left-leaning ideologies for two books. The equivalent of I don't know how long, and it just really kind of solidified this whole echo chamber sort of, we are the books we read and the people we associate with mentality of. The more that I spend in that realm, the more I become like that. And I don't think there, number one, was anything wrong with it, but number two, I understand way more about it. And so to go back to the red pill, blue pill, even things now such as purple pill, which is a mix, which I think, in the end is kind of the way that most people are. I don't think most men or women live in Disney princess world, right? And if they do, well, maybe hopefully they find that other fish in the sea. I just think that realizing what I realized about the whole, being an alpha male, and watching all of that culture sort of unfold was hilarious, especially in the recent years. It's really, really unraveled and become tumultuous, and it did not hold up well with time. It kind of ate itself from the inside. There's that one show that's just no better than Jersey Shore. It's I don't know, who was it? It's DJ Fresh and Fit and Fresh or something like that. And like the guy who proclaims to be fit, like he's really not even that like fit or in shape. He's just kind of average. And the DJ dude, I don't know, maybe he's good, maybe he's not. And their whole show is just garbage. It's pure brain rot. And at one point I did want to do a commentary or response video to one of their things, and one of their shows, and it just wasn't even really worth my effort. And so what I ultimately got from it, and yeah, I watched a couple of those episodes, mainly the ones that featured people that I wanted to see in that realm, and that led me to watching other versions of their show. And it's just a shame the kind of bottom feeding people that they attract and live off of, that just they basically trick to give them money by donation. So their whole thing was like, it's just so funny and idiosyncratic that they're like, oh yeah, like be an alpha male, be this and be that, and like listen to this person's advice, and like women are this way and that way, and like calling out the flaws of women, and then all of a sudden they come out with, I just got a text about the Supreme Court ruling on the vaccine mandate. Interesting, but I'm driving, I can't read it. They basically were like, well, we got to support each other and all the other people who are in the Manosphere and blah, 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 because, these kind of attacks. And it's like, wait. So what you've been preaching about being like independent and being a man and all this other bullshit, you're crying, you're QQing over, oh, we're being attacked, our integrity, and no. That's not, if you're gonna come like fucking proclaim to be this alpha personality and this alpha male who gets all the chicks and is dominant, quit crying for help. And so that really destroyed the illusion for me. I really respect guys like Rollo Tomasi and the way that he lays things down. He's very insightful. But again, I'm not someone who lives or dies by the sword in that regard. Alpha Male Strategies has helped me out a lot. But again, that was just like stopped at one point. There's only so much that you can do. Steph is cold. I mean, bro, respect. I do. I think you're great. I think you're killing it, but you're just average. You're just out there preaching what you see. I mean, everything that you said, I had gone through a couple years prior than you. Like, I think I'm a few years older than you. I don't even know if I've seen. I think I unsubscribed from you. I don't know if you're still uploading or what, but chances are you're gonna get locked down. You're a good looking dude, you're strong, you make money, you're gonna get locked down by somebody, like, no doubt about it. When you're done being a man whore, you're gonna give it up, go for a more simple life, more stable life, especially if you're anything like any male in history that responds to the innate urges of things he can't control, which is your genes. Read the book The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins, I believe. You're engineered to procreate and propagate forward. So this whole alpha male bullshit, yeah, it helps and it's tricky. It tricks girls, you know. And this leads me down a whole new path of discussion of society as it is, and how the perceptive men who were in this manosphere, they knew, they took advantage, right? Like they, just like I did, they took advantage of shifting mentality in people who weren't prepared or had a level of stability. And when I say, like, I took advantage of it in the early days of the pandemic, I was slaying it on the dating apps. I'm not going to go into any further detail, but I mean, I was turning down relationships a lot because people, especially females, got knocked down a peg or two, realizing, hey, toilet paper and all of that stuff is not always going to be, you know, society got so good and was so good for so long that the slightest little turbulence made them snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choked, he's so mad, but he won't give up that easy. But that's what happened. These girls, these women, independent women who don't need no man, were tricked by a capitalistic, selfie-loving society that they don't need to, you know, well, because that was engineered. That goes back to a whole nother, this book that I found, this was a gold mine. This was a McGraw-Hill book, and it was about marketing and the strategies behind marketing, and how the second wave of feminism post World War II was engineered by women that held high-level positions in corporations, because they looked at the data and they said, holy cow, look, now that all these men are back from the war and the women don't want to leave the workforce, and holy crap, look, we have refrigerators and microwaves, all those advancements that came out of the war, all those technological advancements were expensive. A refrigerator, I don't think they have washing machines yet, but it was like a refrigerator and microwaves and like these things that were advances due to the war were big ticket items. And the only way that households could afford those was by dual incomes. And so the men who were coming back from the war, re-entering the workforce, were killing it again, you know, good times, right? But the women were being encouraged by these big corporations so that they could sell very expensive utilities like a refrigerator to these households. And so now all of a sudden women are encouraged not to go back and be homemakers and stay in the workforce and, you know, all of that jazz. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a dual income family is very powerful and very strong, and I think that, you know, in today's day and age, if you meter it out and you look at maybe a dual income family with 2 kids, 3 kids, it's very good. It allows for a very good quality of life for the kids and for the parents. The flip side of that is this whole keeping up with the neighbors, keeping up with the Joneses, always outdoing the other person, drive a better car, buy a bigger house. It seeps into the mind and the culture. And so these women are now competing with men in the workforce, and human nature being competitive, and salaries and all of that stuff. It's fine. It's good, right? It's designed and engineered by greedy corporations, lobbyists, lawmakers. The economy is the way it is, and it's not perfect, and it can only go up. Inflation can only increase. Wages can only increase. Prices can only increase. There is no paying off the national debt. It was never designed to be paid off, and it will never be paid off. It will have to be wiped clean. That's why student loans are one of those things that I think should just be forgiven, because it's going to have to be some kind of easing on the economy, and people who have crazy amount of student loans who are under a big weight and aren't stimulating the economy. But again, I touched on that in another video. So what happened is, all of a sudden things are going so well. We had the boom in 80s and the 90s and the dot-com boom, and then everything else in the recent years that has accelerated, which you can find out from guys like Jordan Peterson. You can find out from other people who talk, Joe Rogan, any of those guys that are talking about what's going on in the culture and this woke culture and how it used to be the thing. It's like being a gamer. Being a gamer is now mainstream. When I grew up, being a gamer was not cool. If you were a gamer, you were definitely like the World of Warcraft guy in South Park. That was how you were perceived. And now it's like cool girls like Star Wars and video games. And, that's great on some level, but the same thing is now happening with this like woke culture, right? So being woke is no longer the trendy thing to do, because corporations took over it and engineered it for themselves, for their own greed and for their own profit. So they're trying to capitalize on the trend, and what they end up doing is taking the trend, artificially inflating it, and then it's no longer the thing. So like being a quote-unquote conspiracy theorist was like kind of like the niche thing to do. And so now the play is to make conspiracy theorists the popular thing. Now everyone's a conspiracy theorist, so now it's not even cool, or you don't have like inside info everybody knows. It's like whatever, like you're just a conspiracy theorist, no big deal. Like everyone's a little bit that way. So like they're playing the game, they know what they're doing. And so with this whole woke alpha male culture and the alpha male cult and the manosphere, like it's something that I think with a lot of things that you need to delve into, and you really need to be open and dive beneath the surface far more than scratching the surface. There's great conspiracy theories out there. That's one of the reasons I went full circle with 9/11. Like 9/11, I think it did happen. I didn't believe it for a long time, but I'm pretty sure it did. Now, were there people who profited from it? Well, yeah. I mean, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, they had all the defense stocks, and they had everything kind of ready to go, but they also had the inside information from the intelligence agency saying, hey, this is going to happen. Hey, this is going to happen. Hey, this is going to happen. Hey, this is really going to happen soon. And nothing really was done about it at the upper echelons of government. And so it happened. And, they kept hearing all the reports and seeing all the reports and seeing everything and hearing everything from the military. And so, yeah, they capitalized on it. the same way that these Manosphere guys, or anyone who was, kind of listening to like the dating strategy tips or anything like that, they capitalized on when the Rona hit back into 2020, because they kind of knew the way the game worked, and they were already working on themselves, working on their purpose, making themselves better people. And so all of a sudden, all of these independent women who have some kind of pretty boy on their arm as a showpiece man who they can dress up and put in cute outfits and whatever, because he's the in look, the in I don't know, whatever, he's in by society's standards, and she can play Ken doll with him. All of a sudden, the ones who had any sort of relevant, down-to-earth style upbringing got knocked out of their little stupor, and they were like, whoa, yeah, I guess life isn't like so hunky-dory, and we were kind of coasting along at like top speeds and high levels, and that's just not gonna last. And so then they started looking around for like real men, not these guys who dress real nice and have like C-suite jobs, because those became tumultuous. Unless you were kind of able to work from home or whatever, like people with an office job, a lot of there was a lot that happened to people like that. But the real men, especially in the trades, if you're any kind of man at all and you didn't take any of the bailout by taking the time off unemployment and you kept working, those were stable. You had gainful employment, you had a way to make a living. And I think any realistic female was like, whoa, this could go bad again. And any smart female or intelligent female was like, well, maybe in 5, 10, 15 years, if this happens again in another form, I'll be with a man who has practical skills, not someone who's good with Excel spreadsheets and financial analysis and numbers on a computer and putting together PowerPoint presentations. They're like, I want a man who knows how to work with his hands, who has gainful employment, who works for the things that he has. And that's when this illusion to me of being in the manosphere really melted away, because the manosphere was one of those things that people jumped on because it was trendy and it was getting hits on YouTube and they were able to make a living doing it. And then you have losers like Fit and Fresh putting on some Jersey Shore level of raunchy show that has absolutely no bearing in reality and morphs into its own little cesspool of not even remotely entertaining, just bottom feeders of viewers and people who run the show. It's not, again, like just going back to my last episode, and that's the thing is, it's like, quit making stupid people famous. But unfortunately, it's a race to the bottom with a lot of things, and I can't really speak to it other than like reality TV gets the most views for a reason. I mean, society at large values mindless entertainment and drama, and it's geared that way. Again, it's engineered by big corporations, because if you see these quote-unquote rich and famous people who have their own TV show and they're wearing the latest Gucci or Chanel or Nike or whatever name brand car that they're driving, clothes that they're wearing, makeup or perfume that they're wearing, that gets sales. It's all about the money. It's all about money. And none of that matters in the end. None of it matters in the end. And the sad thing is about society is the majority cares too much about it. They get lost in the sauce because corporations are really good at tricking you to get lost in the sauce. They want you to buy their name brand clothes. And then you can go find those same name brand clothes at a discount store. But they want you to pay $80 for the shirt. Same shirt that you can find 3 seasons later at a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx for $7.99. And it's going to last just as long. Less than a year. The funny thing is, those free t-shirts that you get, those are the things that last the longest. It's hilarious, right? 100% cotton, free shirt. Lasts a lifetime. Anyway, buy cheap, replace often. That's why nothing lasts anymore. That's why you can't have an AC unit that's built to last the lifetime of your house. It doesn't generate revenue. It just stagnates the economy. That's why planned obsolescence is a thing in phones and computers. That's why every update that your phone or computer gets makes it a little bit slower. Even though it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it'd be running much faster if all you did was run an anti-malware and anti-spyware every so often. But nope. I mean, that's the thing, is everyone's generally smart enough to do that. And so planned obsolescence. Keep consuming. Brainless consumer, good for economy. So that's why this whole alpha male cult thing melted away from me. Now, I'm not saying that it's something that it's a waste of time. I am saying that, like anything, you should be open and you should explore it and you should delve into it. I learned a lot of good things about human nature that, again, is drilled into you from the beginning of your life on this planet as being beyond reproach. You know, there's these truths of life and human nature and animalistic instincts that we have because we are mammals, right? We are still humans. I mean, we are still animals, even though we are conscious and the top of the food chain on this planet. We're still animals. We are still beholden to our emotions, and that's why I also think that, you know, if you are going to dive into things like the Manosphere, you need to be educating yourself elsewhere, reading books by Steven Pinker and Jonathan Haidt about how the mind works. And you need to always continuously be trying to better yourself. And that's one of the good tenets of the Manosphere that it teaches you, is always be what they like to say, on your purpose. Always be moving towards something in life, and that inherently is attractive to females. And so the problem with that is real manly jobs are no longer a thing. Now it's like, get a comfortable job as a barista or work at the local grocery store, you know, as a bag person or cart wrangler. You know, these are seen as the jobs that help you move up in society and build character. Well, the reality is that is another myth engineered by corporations who want to pay you a minimum wage, because these are the foundations of society now. And so going out and having a manly job, like being in a trade, baling hay, working on a farm, doing something that's actually going to teach you an actual skill, has been quietly dismissed as being not worth it, as being, you know, I don't know, blue collar. The blue collar thing has gotten so bad. There's this mentality about it And it is disgusting about how things have been manufactured to be so anti-work ethic. And so we have a culture of men who don't know how to be a man for several reasons. One is that, how I just talked about, being a man is, in today's society, considered having a white-collar job, being an accountant, going to college, making a low six-figure income, or being a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, a dentist. And, those still do hold some merit in this society, don't get me wrong. I mean, somebody's got to do that work. And that's what makes us a civil society. But also, there's, I would say, another issue is the lack of two-parent households. And I really don't care what gender your parents are. I think just having two parents is essential. And I think that, to tie it back to something that I was saying earlier, is, when they realized that when men came back from the war and women didn't want to leave the workforce, and then they were able to afford these luxuries that are now staples in today's society. But like at the time, having a refrigerator was a luxury. Having some of those other appliances that were advances because of the war effort, they could be afforded now. And that is what's led to these single family households. So now the government gets in on that action, because then they can create votes and they can perpetuate a state of control of the labor force. They can control where people live. They can control certain products that people consume. Basically, because without being, it's a breakdown too. I mean, rappers like Kanye West, and even though I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think T.I. mentioned something about it. But there are hip hop stars who are onto it. They're like, whoa. The society is perpetuated in such a way, in such a manner, that is not helpful or healthy for their actual culture and what really went on beforehand. And that's why, I really respect Kevin Samuels, but I think that he, his intelligence is good, but he's still on the wrong path in a little bit of ways. Getting dressed up in a nice suit and flashing and being flashy, peacocking, is not the way to go. That's tricky. I'm still able to pull girls wearing jeans and this jacket than I ever was able to when I was dressed up in a suit and a tie. And that's the truth. But I didn't live in a northern state where women knew suits and ties and things like that. Where I lived, jeans and boots were more of the norm. But again, I also don't think owning an expensive car should be part of anyone's purpose. I think that's just terrible consumerism. Why? I think that one of the other channels I watched was when the day comes and the SHTFs and the SH and the S hits the fan, and people look at you because you were prepared and you were ready, and they were like, why the heck were you hoarding so much water? Why were you the one hoarding so much food? That's not fair. You just look at those dumbasses and be like, well, why were you hoarding so much car? Why did you spend so much money on an expensive car? I chose to drive a cheaper car and buy food with my excess income. You chose to put your excess income into a car. That's your loss. Anyway, I'm going to do another video, because apparently my memory is almost out, so I've got like 5 minutes left. I want to talk about the economic policy in this next one. I'm going to have to basically maybe talk about that one tomorrow or on the drive home tonight. I might get 2 videos in a day. How lucky, lucky, lucky. But again, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that one. And tell me what you think about that and that thought process, the Manosphere, the mentality behind the Manosphere. Has it changed? Did the Rona change it? Did the turbulence of society change the dating game? I certainly noticed change. Did you?